Have you ever lost your keys? How did you feel? Desperation, panic, stress. What do? Well, I suppose if you're like me, you probably tear the whole house apart. You may have stopped to think about the last place that you laid them or saw them. You could interrogate the other members of the family in an accusatory manner. What have you done with my keys? Maybe you run outside to gaze through the window of the car to see if you locked them in. If you're still unable to locate them, you may grab a torch and look under the bed, the couch, the chair, the desk, the table, the refrigerator, and so on. You may look in the cupboards, drawers, or elsewhere. You may look everywhere. You retrace your steps, either physically or in your mind. What happens when you finally find them? There's usually a sense of relief, of joy, of happiness, or some combination of them all. You probably let out a big wah! You spend the rest of the day recounting to anyone who will listen about your adventures in finding your lost keys. At that moment in time, when you're looking for the keys, there is nothing else in your mind. There is nothing that rivals the importance of finding your keys. You don't answer the phone if it rings. You don't stop to check the post unless you're looking in the letterbox to see if your keys are in there. It's an all-consuming activity. Maybe you've never lost your keys. Maybe it was your wallet, an important document, a homework assignment, or even a pair of specs. I once lost my specs and then found them later in the fridge. Don't ask. Whatever we lose, whenever we lose something important, we are driven to find it. Nothing will get in our way until that thing is back in our hands. And when it's back, we're happy. We celebrate with anyone, as I say, who will listen to the tale of our adventure. Jesus told the story about a woman who lost a coin. It follows the other lost story that we looked at last week, and we find it in Luke chapter 15, verses 8 and 9. We read these words. Suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and loses one. Doesn't she light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? And when she finds it, she calls her friends and her neighbours together and says, "Rejoice with me, I have found my lost coin." In the same way, I tell you, there is rejoicing in the presence of angels of God over one sinner who repents. This short little story that Jesus told has always ignited my imagination. We don't know what the money was for. It could have been for food, rent, tax, to give to the temple. We don't know. It doesn't really matter what it's for. The point is that it was obviously of considerable value to the woman, and it was gone. This is how my mind has always pictured this scene. I see the woman standing by her table counting her coins as she gently places them in a little pouch. She gets to the last coin and realizes, oh no, it's missing. She calmly empties the pouch, thinking that perhaps she's miscounted. She's still a coin short. A look of panic appears on her face. She rearranges stuff on the table, trying to find the missing coin. Nothing. She rifles through the drawers and cabinets. She grabs her oil lamp and lights it. She grabs the broom. Dust is flying everywhere as she sweeps the broom across the floor. Nothing. She hits the floor with her hands and her knees, crawling around the floor, looking under every piece of furniture. The neighbours hear the commotion from outside, and she mutters to herself, "Where did that coin go? Where is it? This can't be happening to me. Where is it? Where is it?" I see her slumping back, pondering where it could have gone. She mentally retraces her steps. As she's ready to break down and cry, giving up, she notices something shiny in the corner. It's a coin! She whoops and rejoices. The neighbours outside look puzzled about what's going on inside this little house. The woman bounces out of the house yelling, "I've found it! I've found it!" The neighbours say, "Found what? Your mind? Apparently you've lost it." "My coin! My coin!" the lady exclaims. "I lost it, but now I've found it." The neighbours are relieved that their friend hasn't lost her mind. "That's great," they say. What does all this say? about our relationship with God. What is this story all about? Well, let's read again verse 10. In the same way I tell you, there is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. You know, in Jesus' day, this was a radical concept. The vision that most people had of God was a distant God. God was aloof. He didn't mingle with or even pursue humans. The thought of God stooping down to seek out a human was a totally foreign concept to the minds of the people who heard this story. The thought of a sinner crawling out of the pit of sin and towards God might have been accepted, but the notion of God crawling after a filthy, rotten, stinking person was foreign, if not abhorrent. The people to whom Jesus told this story didn't think of themselves as sinners. No. They were religious. They were the elite. They knew and followed all the regulations and rules and guidelines. They knew that God loved them more than anyone else, especially the scally types, the people that Jesus hung around with. The belief in Jesus' day was that the person had to clean up before they came to God. And you know, I think that belief still holds true in some circles. I know as a child I hated going to church, and the reason wasn't the minister. He was a lovely guy. It wasn't the Sunday school teacher. It wasn't the out-of-date biscuits. It was because we had to dress up. We had to dress up and we had to be in our very best behaviour. And I'm not alone. The number of folk who I've spoken to whose experience of church was one of which they had to smarten up and don't dare move. Well, it's incredible. And they have these thoughts that perhaps hold them back. I remember a few years ago in our youth fellowship, we had a visit from a guy who had lived a life of crime and lawlessness. When he came to faith, he became a bit of a celebrity Christian, going to churches to speak about his radical conversion. And what a story. However, in one church meeting, he took off his jacket, revealing an arm covered in tattoos, love and hate down each arm. These weren't fancy drawings or pictures. These were done with Indian ink and a pen and a pin. And I remember having a conversation with him, and he told me that in one church, when he took off his jacket, the people tutted. They passed judgment on him because of how he looked. And he responded to them by saying, "My arms may be tarnished, but my heart is clean. My arm may be scored and marked, but my heart is clean." Why have we fallen into this notion? I think it's because we've held on to the belief that we must clean up to be before we're worthy of being in God's presence, as if the shine in our shoes is somehow a mark of our worthiness to God. God, through Jesus, met the human race right where we were. Jesus never refused to touch anyone because they were icky, sick or unclean. He touched lepers. He conversed with promiscuous people. He ate with scoundrels. He forgave a criminal with his last breath. And even now, he meets us where we are, with all our failings and all our faults, the ones folks see, and also the hidden stuff, the jealousy, the greed, the selfishness, the pride, the deceit. And he still says, "Come." We don't have to make ourselves better before encountering Jesus. We can't. Jesus takes care of that. The belief in Jesus' day of the religious elite was that they were better than anyone else. Paul reminds us that we've all fallen short. Everyone. Each and every one. They thought they were better than the lepers and the prostitutes. Isn't it great that we've gone past that? Or have we? If Jesus were to show up in the 21st century Scotland, I wonder where he would visit. Well, he would go to the place where those most in need are found. I would suggest he would go to the COVID ward in hospital. He would go to the acute place where people are in need. I think he would visit the homeless shelter, domestic violence shelter, the drug rehab centre, the prison, anywhere else where we dump perhaps those that we consider to be less than us. Realise this, folks. God loves us all. God loves us all, and He loves them every bit as much as He loves any of us. Listen to that again. God loves them every bit as much as He loves you. As one author writes, God's grace is scandalous to anyone who insists He pay attention to the petty efforts we make to earn His favour. Jesus sees each human as a person loved by the Father and worthy of His sacrifice. When we look at people, do we see a person that God loves? As a follower of Christ, what have I done to show that love? Have I given to someone in need? Have I offered help and support to someone who is struggling? Have I supported someone for no other reason than they just need some help? What have you done or are doing to see to it that those that we often see as human debris know that God loves them? Have you encountered the scandal of God's grace? Listen, God loves lost sheep. He seeks out lost coins. And next week we will see that He also loves lost. Well, you'll just have to wait and find out.